Welcome to this PhoneCoach training video, which has been put together for managers, trainers and anybody who wants to use telephone role plays to improve the telephone performance of their people. This video provides PhoneCoach users with some best practice, hints and tips on how to plan, structure and run telephone role play sessions. To gain buy-in from participants, maximise their participation and ensure they have an enjoyable and positive experience. Also for those who want to facilitate performance feedback between participants, so it's constructive and results in performance improvement. And finally, it will help you get the most out of the PhoneCoach system and telephone role plays to the benefit of your people. Like most training sessions, a great telephone role play session should have three distinct parts. It should start with an introduction to let participants know what will happen and what's involved, to gain their buy-in and to put them at ease. It should have a main theme. This will be the actual role-play practice and feedback on a specified topic to improve telephone skills and performance. Role-plays are best organised and facilitated using the tried and tested framework for skills training and development known as EDIT: explanation, demonstration, imitation and feedback or role-playing, coaching and consolidation. The imitation or role-play part of EDIT should incorporate the booster principles of constructive feedback and a painless and effective feedback process after each role-play, both of which we'll cover later in the video. Finally, there should be a summary and a call to action where you can explore what happened, what they learned, how they will apply this in the workplace. So let's take a look at this three-part role-play session in more detail. The best role-play sessions are set up and introduced in a way that really engages participants, gains their buy-in and puts them at ease. After all, role-playing can be a nerve-wracking experience, so you'll need to make introductions and cover the housekeeping arrangements and start with an ice-breaking activity to arouse interest. You'll also want to describe the topic being covered, the objectives and the benefits of the session. The most effective role-play sessions focus on closing performance gaps that participants already know exist. In this situation, it's relatively easy to help participants recognise the benefits of role-play. You'll also want to explore the benefits of role-play in a very enthusiastic and positive way, that they will be conducted in a safe environment away from customers where mistakes can be made and in fact will be expected, so we can gain instant feedback and learn from the experience and ultimately improve performance. You'll want to introduce PhoneCoach and the benefits of using it, for example. It works just like a normal telephone system, making role plays very realistic. It enables you to immediately listen to recorded calls in pairs over the handsets, so you get instant feedback on the things you did well and those things that could be improved. It enables you to listen as a group and share the great role-played calls over the loudspeaker. You'll also need to briefly demonstrate how to use it in pairs. There's a specific video produced by PhoneCoach on this very subject. You'll also want to cover the principles of constructive feedback to be used after each role play, using the mnemonic booster, which emphasises that constructive feedback must be balanced, focused on positives of performance as much as the negatives coming from the role play, observed, based on what actually happened during the role play, objective, an account of what happened without judgment, specific, focused on the subject of the role play, for example the skill being improved, timely, given as soon after the role play as possible so the experience is still fresh in the mind, empathetic, taking into consideration how nerve-wracking role play can be, especially the initial ones in the session, recorded, where possible written down so participants can take this away to continue to use the feedback to improve performance in the future. Finally, you want to establish a robust feedback process to be used after the role play to avoid argument and confrontation. One effective process would be listen back to the recorded call together, making notes on what went well and not quite so well relating to the specific topic under focus. First word to caller on how they felt it went. It's only polite to give them the first say. Then a vow of silence on caller, so constructive feedback can be given unchallenged. Then booster feedback from the call receiver on what went well and not quite so well, followed by a keep change summary from the call receiver, what the caller should keep and do differently on the next call. Finally, its last word and a keep change summary from the caller, what they will actually keep for the next call and what they will do differently. The best role play sessions are set up and introduced in a way that really engages participants. Once the introduction is finished, you'll be ready to move to the main theme or the role-play activity. Following the EDIC framework, the main theme or role-play activity should start with an explanation. The participants will need to understand what they are looking to improve through their role-play before they undertake it. So you'll need to introduce the topic being covered. This could be a generic look at telephone skills, or more effectively a specific telephone performance gap identified through observations or customer feedback, for example. You'll then need to explore and confirm the benefits of improving performance in this specified area. You'll also need to run through the specified topic so delegates understand what it is specifically they are looking at. You could use one of the series of checklists provided by PhoneCoach, or produce your own in-house checklist to do this. Either way, the checklist should confirm what good performance looks and sounds like. The explanation is followed by a demonstration. The phone call demonstration, which ideally should be pre-recorded using the PhoneCoach system, is a key part of the session because it provides participants with a model, a clear picture of how they should be performing on the phone. It provides them with a clear image of what good performance looks like and sounds like. As the old adage goes, if you know where you're going, you're more likely to get there. Avoid asking participants to provide the initial demonstrations, as the extroverts are likely to play to the gallery while the more nervous ones are likely to freeze. Avoid taking part yourself. If it goes well, it will only demonstrate what they already know, that you're the expert. If it doesn't go well, let's not go there. So it's worth spending time to set the demonstration up during the session. Before the demonstration is provided, the participants need to be clear on what they need to do to get the most out of it. So you'll need to introduce the demonstration. Ask participants to listen carefully and make notes on what they hear. Ideally, they should use the relevant checklist to assess the demonstration call, identify and confirm key steps and skills relating to the topic. After the demonstration, you'll want to hold a post-demo review using the checklist of the key points relating to the topic, that is, what you'd like to see and what you want the delegates to focus on when they role-play. Once they have a clear picture of the objective of the role-play, the participants are ready to have a go. The effectiveness of role-playing is all about good organisation and making sure all participants have an opportunity to play the role of the caller, although often playing the call receiver can be just as insightful. Ensuring the participants keep to the brief or scenario, staying in role during the role-play, and using the agreed process and principles for constructive feedback are the keys to role-play success. So you'll need to provide a short verbal or preferably written brief of the scenario you would like the participants to role-play. Usually the same scenario they've heard in the demonstration call, with enough information for the caller and the call receiver to understand and to be able to play their role. Avoid making the scenarios too long. Consider providing participants with an initial script, making sure by the end of the session they move away from the script to make more natural calls. Issue checklists if the participants don't already have them. Organise the delegates into pairs and position them appropriately. Situating pairs at opposite sides of the room, facing away from each other so there is no eye contact, which they don't normally get over the phone, usually works very well. Better still, the PhoneCoach system allows participants to be in separate rooms. This makes the role play even more realistic. Reconfirm the benefits of role play and the process and principles for constructive feedback. Then give them time to complete their role plays using the PhoneCoach. Listen back to recordings either over the handset or via the loudspeaker, using the checklist to identify what went well and not quite so well. To receive constructive feedback from their colleague after each role play, using the agreed feedback process and principles of constructive feedback. As a trainer, you'll want to listen into calls or walk around the room to identify coaching points you'd like to share with the whole group. Once the role plays have been completed, you'll probably have some coaching points you would like to make. You can provide individual coaching points drawn from the checklist throughout the session, for example by joining individual pairs as they listen back to calls and deliver their feedback to each other. You can also listen to live calls as participants role play. This means you can monitor progress, identify coaching points for the individuals concerned, and provide instant feedback and instruction as the call unfolds. It's also beneficial to draw the group together to provide group coaching by discussing their role play experiences, what went well, what went not so well, and what they will keep and change when they run the role play again. To To help embed new or develop skills, it's always helpful to add some consolidating activities, both during and after the session. For example, they should repeat the role plays at least once, so they can implement their keep and their changes immediately, either by using the same scenarios or adding new ones. You could also use a goldfish bowl activity, with one pair demonstrating a successful call to the rest of the group. Or in the longer term, you could also observe participants making these calls and coach them back in the workplace. Once all the role playing has been completed, you can round things off with a session summary. This should provide participants with an opportunity to reflect on their experiences during the session, what they learned, and how they will reap the benefits of learning and development back in the workplace. As well as summarising what was covered during the session, you need to ask some key questions. What happened during the role plays? What did you learn? What does this mean for you in your job? What will you do differently in the workplace? It might also be beneficial to provide time for the delegates to create an action plan relating to further help, support and training they might need, and what they are going to do to ensure what they have learned is applied in the workplace. So there you have it, plenty of food for thought and lots of help and advice if you're planning to use PhoneCoach to develop telephone performance through roleplay. The advice provided here has been drawn from managers and trainers who regularly incorporate PhoneCoach into their formal telephone training sessions with their people to add the wow factor and make role-playing more realistic and effective. But it doesn't stop here. The insight should also help you run impromptu or less formal role-play sessions where buy-in, participation, fun and constructive feedback are still essential ingredients for success. Whatever approach you take, good luck and have fun.